A show created by the fans, for the fans. We are your home for Ohio State football coverage all year long. The Scarlet and Gray Podcast, a Network 216 production. Live weekdays on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Send us all your questions and comments on Twitter at @VSG_podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Dalton, and Nick Leisure.
Good morning, Buckeye fans. This is another Ohio State game day preview. Finally, it is Notre Dame week. We've been waiting a while for this game, it seems like. I am Tyler Johnson, joined by Nick Leisure, Jordan Dalton. This is episode number 27 of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. Gentlemen, how you doing this morning? How are you guys feeling today?
Already drinking. It's game day, baby.
Got a brew, baby. It's Saturday morning. I know it's early, but you know what? I'm ready to go. I'm fired up today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's plenty to talk about, as always. But before we get to all that, guys, be sure, drop a like on today's video. Subscribe if you're brand new to Network 216. Trying to reach 3,000 subscribers now. That is the goal before the end of the year. We're well past 2,000. Thank you guys so much for that support. And thank you guys that have been watching these game day previews every single week. They do a great job. You guys really seem to enjoy them. And we really enjoy bringing them to you. As long as you guys keep showing the support for the videos, we're going to continue to churn out these game day previews. So thank you guys so much for that. And just as a reminder, the Scarlet and Gray Podcast is proud to be a partner of Homage Athletic Apparel. Right now, as a new customer, if you go to homage.com, you can get a 15% off your first offer. All you have to do is type in your email address, sign up from emails from Homage, and believe me, you're going to want to get their emails because they have multiple sales every single week. They're always dropping new merchandise. Be sure you guys go take advantage of the offers Homage has and tell them that Network 216 sent you. Gentlemen, before we get into Ohio State and Notre Dame, since we didn't have a regular show this week just due to the Browns on Monday Night Football and some prior commitments there, Ohio State did beat Western Kentucky. Not only did they beat them, made a statement on Saturday, beating Western Kentucky 63-10. What were your guys' takeaways from this game? I didn't get to see it live. I was not able to, so I recorded it. And when I caught up, I have to admit, I was a little stunned. I was not expecting that type of performance on Saturday.
Yeah. So we did our show last week. I think, was it just me and you, TJ, that did it? For the preview?
Yep.
Yeah. So the one question you asked me was, what do you need to see to feel comfortable going into the Notre Dame game? And I said, I need to see this offense hang 40. And they did that in the first half. So I was extremely happy with the performance on Saturday. And then it answered all the questions I needed going into this week. So,
yeah, I mean, if you told me that the defense is only going to give up 10 points to that type of offense, I probably would have laughed at you. But, I mean, the defense was flying around. I mean, 2 defensive touchdowns in the second half. That's stellar. The defense has been the brightest spot in these first three games. I mean, I think they've only given up, 20 points on the season so far through 3. I mean, I know the opponents aren't super up to par, but, I mean, these are still all Division I. I mean, other than Youngstown State, but, I mean, these are all high athletic, teams. I mean, they all know how to play football. So the fact that the defense is only holding them to 20 points through 3 games it's pretty impressive. But, yeah, it was just so relieving to see McCord just kind of take control of the offense. Ryan Day kind of took the training wheels off, and they just kind of went.
Yeah. I mean, let me get this out there now. We posted it on our Twitter page, but I'm just going to say it once again, just because it was very satisfying just to see Kyle McCord right now has less interceptions than J.J. McCarthy, Michigan starting quarterback. Just want to throw that out there now because it's very satisfying to see. But also, guys, Kyle McCord on Saturday, not doing it yet. Got some receipts. Not going to share them yet. Kyle McCord on Saturday looked the best we've seen him so far. He was slinging the rock everywhere. and that connection to Marvin Harrison Jr., it's just perfect right now. What were your guys' thoughts on Kyle McCord's performance? We said it for a while. Maybe if you'd actually let the kid throw the football and if we trusted him, he'd actually be a pretty good quarterback. And what do you know? Looks like he might turn out to be a really good starting quarterback for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I think the two big things that I took away was they kept him in the game and they let him develop that rhythm. But he came out on fire, and then they were actually pushing the ball downfield, which we hadn't seen in the first 2 weeks. So he was able to really use his wide receivers, make those big plays, get those chunk plays that we really wanted to see, that we have seen out of the past couple of years with CJ Stroud. And man, he just looks like how we envisioned the offense would look, where you just plug him in and it's the same offense we ran last year, and he's able to make all the throws. And the biggest thing with him is just the mental piece, making sure he's making his right reads, but he's got the arm talent, and he really made me feel a lot better about this offense going forward, just with how he performed on Saturday last week.
Yeah, I mean, he just looked comfortable. I mean, that's really what it came down to. He didn't look, frazzled. He just kind of sat there, and there's a couple plays that he really went through all of his progressions, and then he was hitting the crosser coming across the middle he wasn't taking the deep shot. There was one in particular in my mind that he had Marvin Harrison coming across the middle, which he probably wasn't the first option, but he let the play develop all the way through, and then he hit Harrison as soon as he crossed over that right tackle, and then Marvin Harrison was able to catch the ball, get upfield, get some yardage. But it was just nice to see McCord just look comfortable and just run the offense. It was just I took a deep breath after watching that game on Saturday.
Yeah, dude, it was just so satisfying. And like I said, I'm watching this game, and I didn't want you to give me any updates on it. And I had a feeling by your reaction that you were saying that we were going to end up being right on something. We might very well end up being right on Kyle McCord and him being a successful quarterback. But one other takeaway from this game, I think going into Notre Dame, it's very apparent who the Buckeyes workhorse is at running back. TreVeyon Henderson, didn't play well last year. Big reason was dealing with injury all year. But TreVeyon looks to be 100% healthy. And you know what? When this guy is healthy, people seem to forget he is one of the best running backs in college football. And right now, I think the Buckeyes have one of the best running backs in college football in their backfield.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I think we have one of the best running back rooms in the country. Top to bottom, they're pretty loaded. They got a little bit of everything. You got the power with Mayan Williams and Chip Trainum. You obviously have the speed and agility with TreVeyon and Dallin Hayden and even Evan Pryor if we get to see him at all this year. But they just have a complete room. But yeah, obviously TreVeyon's the lead guy, and that's just nice to see. It's great to see him healthy because you can tell when he gets the ball in his hands, it's just different. Because his vision, the way he cuts, it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, he looks 100%, which is just I think a lot of us were with last season and how things shook out with the running back room and the way that we never had a fully healthy room. And at times we sparked that, Mayan Williams played really well, filling in for Henderson, but having him 100% is completely it just adds a dynamic to the offense we didn't have last year, with that guy that can really explode and get those big chunk plays through the ground. And I'm happy he's back, and that's going to be huge coming into this week because we're going to need him. We're going to need him bad too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And those were the main talking points, of course, was the offense really getting it together. Regarding Ohio State, Western Kentucky, before we move on and talk about what everyone's been waiting for, I want to say 6 months before we knew this far in advance when this game was going to happen. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about regarding Ohio State and Western Kentucky?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. So now
I'm ready for this one.
So now the Buckeyes are traveling to take on Notre Dame. It is going to be a night game at 7:30. Both teams are undefeated going into this year. Notre Dame has a very good quarterback at the helm, transferred from Wake Forest, Sam Hartman. They still have their running back, Audric Estime, who also, I think personally, is one of the most underrated running backs in college football. I really do. He's averaging 8.3 yards a carry. But also, they have a really good up-and-coming head coach in Marcus Freeman. So, going into Notre Dame, how are you guys feeling right now? I know that before the Western Kentucky game, we were a little nervous about this game. But right now, after the performance last Saturday, how are you guys feeling going on the road for a top 10 matchup with the Fighting Irish Saturday night?
You want to take it first, Jordan? You can go ahead. No. I don't know. Like, I feel better than I did. I feel better than I did before the Western Kentucky game about this game. Let me just say that I feel better. But I mean, this Notre Dame team they're legit. I mean, it's gonna be the best. This is the best complete team that we're gonna see. Obviously, but yeah. So, I mean, Sam Hartman's he's the real deal. I mean, he's been in college for 6-7 years. He's going to be in the top 10 in passing yards all time at the collegiate level. Like, the dude slings the rock, and that's something that Notre Dame hasn't had in a very long time is a legit quarterback. And that's always kind of been their kind of Achilles heel. Like, they've always been decent, but they've never really had the guy at the helm to really take them to the next level. And I think Sam Hartman's that dude. But I really think that the Buckeyes are going to be up to the task. I think it's going to be a real close game. But, yeah, I mean, I feel better than I did before Western Kentucky. I still think the Buckeyes have the edge. Just their total roster talent is better than Notre Dame's. But I think they're going to be a little bit better coached than Notre Dame. Well, no disrespect to Marcus Freeman because he's one of the best up-and-coming coaches in the league. But I feel confident going into this one more than I did last week.
Yeah, I'm not ready to really say like we're gonna go in there and crush Notre Dame. And then like we had 2 subpar weeks, and then finally our offense did well against an opponent that is a group of 5. You know, so it's like Conference USA team. It's not like we went in there and we played Alabama and looked really good. We just had what we expected to see the first 3 weeks happen one time. So I'm not ready to go in and be like, yeah, we're going to win this game by 20. I think like Nick said, this is going to be the most complete team we see until possibly Penn State and then Michigan at the end of the year. So this coming week is going to be the first challenge, and it's an away game, which in college football I think means a lot more than like NFL, and I think college really gives you a significant advantage, especially in a hostile environment like Notre Dame, Irish Stadium. You know, and the other thing I wanted to talk about was this isn't the same Notre Dame team we played last year. This isn't the same Ohio State team that played Notre Dame last year. And like Nick said, Sam Hartman's their quarterback now. Their quarterback last year when we played was Tyler Buckner, and that man started for Alabama last week and then got benched, and now he's probably their 3rd string quarterback. And he's just not good. Like, and he was the starter last year. So this is a completely different team. This is going to be a completely different offense than we saw last season. And Estime, you know, he's already rushed for over 500 yards, averaging 8 yards a carry. Sam Hartman's over 1,000 yards passing. Their offense is really good, pro style offense. They'll run it down your throat. They'll throw it deep. They're going to do everything against this defense. So I think for me, big things to come away with a win today would be we need to stop the run. That's like number one, stop their run, because if we can just focus on Sam Hartman and make sure those corners aren't getting beat deep, I think we'll be okay, and then number 2 is establish a run, and like that's a very like fundamental thing for football, but I think it's extremely important for this game because getting Travion going is going to open up so much and relieve so much pressure for Kyle McCord, and this is his first big game in his career. This is the biggest game he's ever played, so I think we have a young, inexperienced quarterback playing a very, very experienced quarterback on the other side, and that worries me. So I to answer the original question, I'm not super confident in us going in there and winning this football game by a lot. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be close. But we'll see.
Yeah. I hope.
I mean, it should. Listen, I do believe it's going to be
like,
close.
I can't.
No. I agree with you for sure.
I can't look at our football team and what we've put on the field so far this year and honestly say that we're going to go into this game and win.
I feel like if you score 28 points, you're going to win this game tonight. That's how I feel. I really I feel like a lot of people are thinking, well, both teams are really going to sling the ball a lot. Dude, I think it's just going to come down to the trenches and who can get the most pressure on the opposing quarterback, really. I mean, I think our defense has the advantage. I think our defense is better than Notre Dame's defense. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's all in relatively like with who. Like, is Notre Dame's offense better than our defense by that much? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, TJ.
See, you don't want to compare last year, this year, because it is completely different. But at the same time, we scored 21 points at home against Notre Dame last year with C.J. Stroud as our quarterback. Yeah. So in this game, I think you're right, Nick. If you can get 28 points, you're winning the game. Yeah. I would agree, unless your defense completely craps the bed, which I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, look at the secondary. Denzel Burke has been flawless. I mean, literally flawless this year. Been back to what we believe he could be. Jordan Hancock has been really good. Davidson Igbesun, I can never pronounce his last name. He's been really good this year. The entire secondary has stepped up, but now you're going against Sam Hartman, one of the most probably underrated quarterbacks in college football. You're going to Notre Dame. This also is a young team that is going in for the first time for a top 10 matchup on the road. It's going to be very difficult. Like, there's no doubt. I don't even know really what you want to contain more of, the run game or the pass game, because Hartman's thrown for 1,000 yards already.
Right.
Like, Estime, I think, is going to get probably 60, 70 yards in this game. I really do.
Yeah.
But you guys talked about it. Our biggest issue, though, all year, we cannot get sacks. It doesn't matter who it is, who's on the field. We cannot get sacks. And if we can't do that against Hartman, I don't like our chances in this game. What do you guys think about that? Because you have to get pressure on him. And if you don't do that, I think he's going to have a field, regardless of how good your secondary is.
Yeah.
He's better than any quarterback we faced so far this year, and might be the best quarterback we face all year.
I think Knowles is going to dial up a lot of pressure. He's got to. I mean, I think at least early. You got to dial it up early. Kind of rattle. See if you can rattle Hartman early on. I really do. JT's got to have a massive game. He really hasn't had any impact really this year yet. I mean, he's got to have he's got to get at least a sack and a half, I think, in this game for the defense to be successful. They got him and Sawyer both have to get pressure, or else, I mean, Hartman it doesn't matter how good our secondary is. He'll pick us apart. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's just how good that kid is.
Yeah. So another thing that we haven't mentioned yet, this is Notre Dame's 5th game of the year. They played an extra game to start in week 0 against Navy. And so they also kind of ironed out all the kinks on their offense and their defense. Mm-hmm. They put up over 40 points in every single game they've played this year. And they're a little bit better set up coming into this game, I feel, than people are giving them credit for. I know Ohio State's the favorite going in, but it's not I don't think it should be that way. I think Notre Dame should be the favorite. But yeah, I kind of agree with getting pressure on Hartman early. If you just let him sit back there and throw, oh man, we're gonna have a long day, like long day. And so I think we have the athletes to compete with our offense for sure on defense. So that doesn't bother me. It's not super.
Because here's now the question. Let's say the Buckeyes get behind in this game, which very well could happen. Do you trust, or does Ryan Day trust Kyle McCord enough to? We're gonna have to sling it 50 times in order to maybe win this football game.
I hope so.
I mean, do you guys believe in Kyle McCord enough that he, like, if it comes down, Ohio State gets down early by 10, Kyle McCord can come back and win this football game?
Do we have a choice? I mean, really, do we have a choice?
I mean, it's just a question. It's just a serious question, though, because
think
some fans still don't believe in Kyle McCord.
I mean, I have the confidence in him, but I mean, at the end of the day, we don't really have an option. I mean, I trust Kyle McCord more than Devin Brown. So, I mean, but no, McCord is fully capable, 100%. I think he's fully capable.
I agree.
Okay. No, I agree too. I was just listen. There's still a good portion of fans out there that until he does it against higher level competition, they don't think he's the guy. But that's
I'm kind of in that boat though. Like I don't want to jump the gun and say like we got our quarterback when he really hasn't done anything against any real solid competition. Like I said, beating up Western Kentucky, that's great. That's amazing. Yeah. But until he does it against Notre Dame, I'm not gonna be super on the McCord train. If we go in there and we put up 40 and McCord throws for 70% completion, no interceptions, 4 touchdowns, yeah, I'm on the McCord train for sure. But I need to see it. I need to see it more than I've seen it the first 3 weeks. I can get excited.
And that's fair. Yeah, I can understand that. So here's a really good question, because this is what I think the game also could come down to. Like, I think in the trenches for sure. But one thing that's very underrated is Notre Dame's wide receiver core. And the reason I mentioned that, very, very balanced. Chris Tyree is their leading receiver. He only has 8 catches, but he has 216 yards and 2 touchdowns. He averages 27 yards a catch. They have another tight end because, shocker, Notre Dame just grows tight ends on trees. Holden Stays only has 6 receptions, but he has 123 yards and 4 touchdowns. He has 4 touchdowns already this year. You list Jaden Greathouse, Tobias Merriweather, Jaden Thomas. Notre Dame has a lot of talent at wide receiver and at tight end. So who do you think ultimately wins this battle on Saturday between the Buckeye secondary and that Notre Dame group of receivers?
I mean, I hope Ohio State secondary. I mean, let's be honest. But, dude, I don't know. I honestly don't think it's going to come down to the secondary defending the pass. It's going to be getting pressure. Dude, I know I sound redundant, but I think our secondary will be fine. Our secondary tackles pretty well, for I mean, all things considered. But it's just going to make it's making Hartman uncomfortable is what's going to win the game. He's going to make throws. These receivers, they're going to make plays. That's just the nature of the game. But I mean, obviously, you want the secondary to win the battles, but they're underrated. But I mean, like you said, they're all pretty skilled. They're very well balanced. Hartman spreads the ball around to everyone. He does not have a favorite target. He throws it to everybody. He throws it to the open guy. So it's like you just have to be ready for everyone. I don't know.
Nick and I have been talking about this game offline, and we're not super excited we think this could be an L, like a legitimate L for Ohio State. And I know a lot of people are like, well, Notre Dame's overrated. They're always overrated. I'm telling you, this is a different Notre Dame team that we haven't seen. And we talked about it earlier in the show. We have not seen Notre Dame have a quarterback like this in a long time. So I think it's going to be a challenge, and that. But you really want this as Ohio State. You really want this game, because you win this game, and we talked about this a couple shows ago. We win the Notre Dame game in Notre Dame, night game with the young quarterback. This propels our season. We're all of a sudden, we're not falling in the rankings every week like we have been. Like, we're back in the top 3 if we win this game, and we are coasting to Michigan or to Penn State.
I'll say here's another thing too. You have a bye week after this game. You have to go in here and you leave everything out there. You have to. This is your national championship game, week 4. You have to go out there with everything right away. And to go back to the receiving core, he's thrown a touchdown to 9 different dudes this year already, which is crazy. I mean, that's a super impressive stat. But
I will say though, this is not the end of our season if we lose this football game by any stretch of the imagination, just because of who we have left on the schedule.
I'd rather lose tonight. I mean,
I would rather lose this game than lose the Michigan game or lose the Penn State game.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
And it's the way college football has been forever. Is you can come back from early season losses. We've seen it time and time again with Ohio State, with Alabama, with other teams that lose early and they win out and they win their conference and they go on win the national championship, or they're in the college football playoff. So I think it's easier to come back from a Notre Dame loss than it is from a last week Michigan loss. And then you miss out. I mean, we got really lucky last year with that college football playoff berth, losing to Michigan, and then somehow didn't play a week, and then USC loses, and then we somehow fall in the top 4.
Bama loses. Everyone just
it was like wild. But you don't want to put yourself in that situation at the end of the year. So I think best case scenario, we go in there, we take care of business. Our defense plays well. We're still, I believe we're still top 5 in passing defense. I know we were top 5 going into the Western Kentucky game, and they didn't do jack against our defense through the air. So I imagine, I haven't seen the stats, but I imagine we're still up there. So if we take care of business, we limit all the damage through the air, our offense should be. We have a lot of weapons on offense, and we saw them last week. So if our offense gets going, I think we don't have a problem winning this football game. It's just if we can do that.
And that brings us to, obviously, game predictions. So first off, the Buckeyes are favored by 3 points here in this game. I don't understand why. But
if it's that close, just give it to the home team, right?
Yeah, they are favored by 3, and that line stayed pretty consistent for about a week now. The over-under is 55.5. All right. So, JD, does Ohio State win tonight? And if so, what? Well, actually, let's just say this. Does Ohio State win? What's going to be the game score? And does either team cover? How about that? Does either team cover?
Does it cover the spread of 3?
Huh?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's
I think the winner will cover the spread.
Yeah.
So I think Ohio State wins by 7. I think it's close till the very end. I can't see it being much more than 28 on offense. So I think like 28-21 would be the final score.
Okay.
I think just with Ryan Day's 28-27 Ohio State, with Ryan Day's statement that he's going to let it rip, I don't think we're going to be settling for very many field goals.
No.
Okay.
I think we're going to be really aggressive, and I think we're going to put the ball in the end zone. So 28-21.
Okay. All right, Nick.
I think obviously Ohio State's going to cover. 3 points, whatever. I think it's 31-24. think they still win. They still win by 7, but I think we got to bang in a couple field goals. I think both teams are going to have to at least. I think early, both teams are going to settle for a field goal early. But then, obviously, as the game gets down to the wire, we're going to have to – because Ryan Day, he already – I mean, we know he likes to go for it on 4th down a lot. So which I appreciate that. I think settling for field goals. If you're inside the 20-yard line, don't settle for a field goal. Dude, just go for the jugular. And if you fail, then you got the defense to back you up. But yeah, I think 31-24 Buckeyes, and we go out of there with a W.
All right. Well,
you biting the bullet, TJ? You're going to go against Ohio State here?
I don't want to, man. I just don't know. I've seriously had a hard time. I feel like when I was trying to pick Browns and Steelers for a week, trying to figure that crap out too. But I think Notre Dame at home. I'm gonna go with Notre Dame, not by much. I would take Notre Dame, and I would take the +3. So I think that Notre Dame's gonna win this game. I think it's gonna be, man. I almost want to say it's going to be a little
Ohio State. We're an Ohio State podcast.
Correct. And I also co-host Browns podcast, and I picked against them 10 times last year. So anyway, I just my biggest thing is the score, because I do think they're going to put up a decent amount of points in this one. I'm going to say 31-28 Notre Dame.
What's the weather going to be like out there?
You want to tell us, meteorologist Nick Lazier?
If it's raining, dude, it could get nasty out there. It could get nasty.
What's the weather look like?
I don't know. I'm looking.
All right. Meteorologist Nick Lazier is about to give us the weather update.
Hold on. Let me get my South Bend. Hold on.
That weather can change, by this evening. So who knows?
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. Oh, it's taking too long. It's going to be 70 degrees, a slight breeze, beautiful weather for football in South Bend, Indiana tonight, and the Buckeyes are going to walk out of there with a W. It's going to be a staple win for Ryan Day. All the haters can shut up, and we're going to come out of there victorious.
Hey,
Look it.
I 100% hope that's right. I can't wait to be proven wrong. But anyway.
It's supposed to be 75 at kickoff.
Even better.
Beautiful.
Even better.
No rain in sight.
Absolutely. Even better. Anyway, guys, as always, thank you guys for joining this episode of 27 of the Scarlet and Gray podcast. Again, drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're brand new. Network 216, trying to reach 3,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Can't wait to talk to you guys all again next week. Enjoy the game tonight, and as always, go Buckeyes.